Hello, brothers and sisters, viewers. You're welcome to today's edition of my Liberation Gospel, Biafra, a buffer against Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism. That's I think we will take a pretty good time, an hour or more, to talk about this. As I enjoy you to invite your friends, let them be part of this discussion. And if you have anything to contribute to this, you can text. You can write it down. I'm going to read it out. If you have a question to ask or anything of sorts. So, Biafra, a buffer against Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism. When I say buffer, what do I mean? Buffer is something that can ameliorate, something that can push down, something that can curtail excesses of, something like when you say buffer zone, something that can check something that tend to be negative or such. So why do I say, but before we go further, fundamentalism and terrorism, I think it's good that we take a look at what is Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism. Islamic fundamentalism, so to say, I think I have to say it can be defined like a movement of Muslims who think back to early times and seek to return to, the originals of the religion, and live similarly to how the Prophet Muhammad and his followers lived, when they started the religion. But a lot of people are taking that to the extreme. They're taking it to the extreme in the sense that the contest today is becoming, although it's debatable, the issue about Islamic fundamentalism, it's debatable. Some people can debate about it positively, whereas others can talk about it negatively. But I'm looking at the negative aspects of it, because I have many friends who are Muslims, and they're very good people. They are not extremists. They doesn't condescend to killings. But a good number of Muslims, support what is going on around the world. Especially when it comes to the Islamic religion, they support anything about Islamic religion. Because I don't know what's just like there was a place I was talking to a group of people. I said many African countries have gone so extreme in Islamic fundamentalism. Anything that happens around the world, particularly in the Islamic world, they just take it personal, and they love being jihadists to being Africans. They tend to support Muslims in other parts of the world than their brothers who are Africans, and we see that happening now and then. We've seen souls going down. People are killed easily over. With regards to Nigeria, a lot has happened from time immemorial. People are easily killed over reactions or over actions that involve the Islamic religion in further places. So Fundamentalism, I think I'm taking the negative side of Islamic fundamentalism, because a lot of people will say, look, in as much as they are Muslims, they don't support what is evil, which I agree to that. But many do still support anything that touches Islam. And let's take the case of Nigeria, for instance, with what is happening in Nigeria. And it's take a clue from the constitution first, the 1999 constitution in Nigeria. The 1999 constitution in Nigeria, I've always kicked against it because it doesn't represent our interests. There was no time that we gathered to say we, the people of Nigeria, is arranging for ourselves a document that shall guide our behavior, that shall guide the processes of our existence in the country. It's unfortunate that the first paragraph of the constitution talks about that we, the people of Nigeria, and that is why we always say that Nigeria is a fallacy, Nigeria is a fraudulent setup. And quoting Awolowo, the Yoruba leader, who said that Nigeria is a mere geographical expression, and which is true, is a mere geographical expression in the sense that these are collections of people with different mentality, collections of people with different mindsets. We are not one, we are not united, we can never be united because our cultures are different, our mentality are different, the way we think, our schools of thoughts, our ways of life, are very far apart. It's very different from each other. We are clashing in mentality, we are clashing in way of life, we are clashing in our daily aspect of living, as in our worldview. So the first paragraph of the 1999 constitution talks about we, the Nigerian people. Unfortunately, the same constitution, 99 constitution, because many people, because of illiteracy and because of the way the country has treated its citizens, they don't want people to be educated, they don't want people to be enlightened, to avoid being asked fundamental questions. The same constitution that guides you and me, who call yourself Nigerians, in that constitution we have it's enshrined the Sharia courts. The Sharia legal system, the Sharia jurisprudence. We have the civil court in Nigeria, we have the customary court. Then they had to insert the Sharia legal code. And this is a country whereby it's a civil country. It's a country that involves people from different religion. In Nigeria, we have Muslims, we have Christians, we have animists. Animist traditional religion, and those people are not even carried along. How can you tell me that Nigeria is a secular country and that we have a constitution, and in that constitution you never called me, I never sat down, there was no time we debated about the constitution, there was no time constitutional matters were brought to town hall meetings for debate, or even on radio, or even among the people. A group of military guys from the north just woke up and imposed a constitution on the people. And in that constitution, they inserted common law, customary law, and Sharia law. And that is what is guiding Nigeria today. That is what is guiding you and me in the country today. So I want to trace origins of fundamentalism and terrorism in governance in Nigeria, because when I talk about Biafra, a buffer against Islamic fundamentalism, why they are afraid. Many of us don't to the people, and some people very deep. I mean, Nigeria is a secular state, a state that we have Christians, people who are followers of Jesus Christ. We have Muslims. I mean, people who are followers of Muhammad. We have traditional religion adherents, those who are still following the footsteps of our ancestors, our fathers, you know, who weren't Christianized or Islamized, and those who doesn't believe, you know. This and we have a constitution that talks about the constitution that have a aspect of it, common law. I mean, the colonial kind of law, the westernized jurisprudence. Then we have the customary law, which is okay, because before Christianity came and before westernization came, we practice through a customary process. Then we have, and they inserted Sharia law. And in that Sharia law, you know, without even our consent, then what about the Ten Commandments for Christians? So you see that something is missing. And the problem is not only that, it's from this same constitution, we are guided. Many of you were aware the time when Sharia, the Sharia controversy came up. And today, we have 9 states in Nigeria that are even guided by Sharia law. 9 states, I mean 9 states that have a Muslim majority, and 3 that have a good number of Muslims. So in total, we have 12 states that part of their legal system involves Sharia law. And many of us don't understand that Sharia law very well. If you read or do research, you will see that from this Sharia law, the underpinnings, the real concept of it, you see that that is where terrorism, fundamentalism originates from, because they have a different school of thoughts. If you read about Islam very well, I have a Quran. I have 2 Qurans actually. A friend gave me one in my office a couple of years ago. Then I bought one. But and when I want to do research, I just look at that. We have the Hanbali school of thought, the Maliki, the Jafari. And like Christians, we do have denominations. We still have the Sunni Islam and the Shiites. In Nigeria, you have the Sunnis and the Shiites. Majority, the Sunnis. And Boko Haram is a Sunni group. That's why you see, because the Sunnis always take the Shiites as infidels. In fact, they hate the Shiites a lot, but I'll be coming to that. Some of you saw how they massacred hundreds of Shiites the other time. And as I'm talking to you, the leader of the Shiites in Nigeria, Ibrahim El-Zakzaki, I think his first name, but it's El-Zakzaki, was bullied, shot, his children killed. He has gunshot. He's still in the military hospital, and he is in the hospital and in detention too. If you search very well on the line, he was even embarrassed. Somebody they shot, they had to even carry him on the wheelbarrow to disgrace him. So I want you to begin to understand the kind of people we are dealing with. You know, when we talk about Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism, we think this is just a bogus word, or something we read on the newspapers and in textbooks. But in Nigeria, they are leading you. They are your rulers. They are your leaders, fundamentalists and terrorists. So, sorry, that is the problem we are having in Nigeria. The 1999 Constitution have a very strong recognition for Sharia law. And unfortunately, this is a secular state, and they want us to keep quiet, and everybody is guided by this constitution, and people cannot raise eyebrow. You can imagine a country, Oshimbajo, Professor Oshimbajo is a pastor, and he's a vice president of the country. He cannot even say anything. Nigerians lily-livered people, because they are getting something, or because they're in power. They can't talk about changing the system, whereby or speaking the truth. So that is the thing. The 1999 Constitution lends credence to the rise of Islamic fundamentalists and terrorists to the corridors of power in Nigeria. You can go to my page. I have another page, a live page, Okachuku Ukobe, whereby some time ago I uploaded videos of Buhari inciting Islamic fundamentalists to kill. It's there. This is not that many people said about it, but because he's a fundamentalist, and he has always supported terrorists. How did Boko Haram came up? I will come to that. So that is the groundwork, that is the basics of where this current, although it has been on in Nigeria, but the 1999 Constitution lays credence to what is happening today, that it's very difficult to remove it from our fortune of life. And the 1999 Constitution was promulgated into law by one of them, Abdul Salami Abubakar. We never debated. He just cooked up a constitution and imposed it on us. That is what is guiding Nigeria today. So whatever happens, the Sharia, there's sections in the country that makes Sharia law applicable in Nigeria. And in that same constitution, if you check Article 262, there's still a Sharia Court of Appeal in the Federal Capital Territory. So you can imagine, in the section of Nigeria, they have a Sharia court. They still have the Sharia Court of Appeal in the constitution. So, and unfortunately, this constitution, this Sharia law is applicable to 9 states which have Islam as majority, and 3 other states which have a good number of Muslims. Even many Muslims voted against it, but they were just shut up. They were just subdued. Because I remember there was a demonstration, was it in 2001 or so? There was a demonstration in which about 100 people died in Kano. There were, I think, riots in October 1. 100 people demonstrated against that, but they were killed. And this gave rise to what is happening today. Although I've been showing it has been that in Nigeria, but the military government now imposed it officially, and that is what we are suffering today. That's why, because many of us stay in the south, we don't travel around, and we are just okay with whatever we see if you go in deep and see that a lot of people are suffering there. I've said it times without number that what the Hausas are suffering in the north, nobody has suffered that, because for centuries, you know, they've been subdued. A man from Ebonyi State, in Kano, who are indigents. I wouldn't believe you. But I learned a lot from that young woman. She told me a lot of stories, and that she's Hausa, and that's why, you know, when we talk about Biafra, some of them slaves to the Fulanese for girls there. They don't have a say on their future. You know, in the common north, you cannot just, an Hausa man, you cannot just wake up and say you are rich. Who are you? Unless you have the permission of the emir, unless the emir designs that for you, unless you are so loyal, you are subservient to the Fulanese. In the common north, there are people who are born to rule, then others must follow. Whether you like it or not, you must follow. If you don't do that, they will kill you. They will just finish you. That's why you can travel to the common north, and yes, we know they have land mass, but you can travel distance of from Owerri to Aba. You won't even see any building. You won't even see anyone. They just have the land mass, but they don't have the population. But you know, they keep credence to this Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism, though it has always been part of the Nigerian system, because the amalgamation between the south and the north is just a burden on many people. But the 99 constitution, they now put it in the 1999 constitution, and that is what we are suffering today in this political dispensation. So, having said that, you know, it's now, it gave rise to a lot of things that happening today, Boko Haram, and you know, the rise of Buhari to governance to come back again. That's one. Then let me talk about the OIC, Organization of Islamic Cooperation. OIC, many of you know that, but forget that easily. Nigeria became an Islamic country officially in I think it was 1986. In 1986, Babangida registered Nigeria as a Muslim country. Though that time people tried to kick against him, but you know, military regime, he had to shut people, shut them up, you know, through many things. It even took the seat, the position of his deputy. I don't know if you remember Ebitu Ukiwe. Ebitu Ukiwe was the chief of staff then. I think he was assistant to Ibrahim Badamosi Babangida. But Ebitu Ukiwe made a statement against the OIC. Then it used to be called Organization of Islamic Countries. They later changed it to Organization for Islamic Cooperation. And Ebitu Ukiwe, who was assistant to Babangida, lost his job because he rose against it. He talked against the OIC, that Nigeria is not an Islamic country. Babangida had to sack him. And with that, you know, that cooperation, it's helped to cement the it helped to cement, I mean, Nigeria's involvement in Islamic. You will see what is happening today. You can see Islamic banking things. You see Buhari has had bilateral agreements more with Islamic nations since he became president than going for real countries. I see him today. He will sign agreement with Dubai. Tomorrow he will sign agreement with UI, United Arab Emirates, and all those my petty countries. You know, Islamic countries that's easily they're just doing him because they know he doesn't know anything. They know he cannot effectively go to Asian countries and negotiate business and negotiate deals for the country. So they're just trying to prop him up, you know, to look as if he's doing something. What would they give to us? They have oil, we have oil, but unfortunately they are using their own to develop their country. We are not using our own to do anything. Instead, we are just the criminals there are just eating it up. So, Islamic Organization of Islamic Cooperation, Nigeria became a part of it in 1986. Even in the year 2001, when there was the G8 of OIC, Nigeria attended. OBJ was empowered then. He attended. So that was that's another one. OIC. You see how Nigeria is getting steeped into core Islamic countries, and you know they're always interested in Nigeria because Nigeria is the most populous African country. Nigeria has big markets, has a good number of Muslims, especially in West Africa, and the Muslims are in power. I've been on the streets of the West here. I have many of my friends who are Muslims. So when you have a debate with them or discuss with them about Nigeria and Islam, you know, I always tell my friends who are Africans and who are Muslims that why do you love the Islamic world more than Africa? Why is there that at the least provocation you stand, or because somebody from Jeddah, or because some maiming and start killing? Why do you do that? Slave, the role of Arabs in slavery. I mean, but that is for another day. So that's why with Nigeria joining OIC, you know, they always get Nigeria involved in underground things, training of fundamentalists, and because the agenda of the Islamic fundamentalists spread by force. Islam is not crusades during the Western Crusades, the spread of Christianity and co. But into what is happening today have shown us that you know, I mean, you don't need to fight for your God. You don't need to fight for it. If you have faith in your God should even protect you. Why should you? I was talking with one Egyptian. He said that the Prophet Muhammad said that the religion must be protected. Why if your God is strong, the religion will spread. Going to force an underage girl and sleep with the girl and deposit your spermatozoa to have a photos and procreate. You shouldn't do that. I mean, I'm a Christian today because it works for me. Because I wouldn't be a Christian if it doesn't work for me, if I haven't seen the signs. It's not about, yes, my parents raised me up as Christian. No, but I grew up as someone who is curious and inquisitive, and I want to know things that I don't know. So along the line, I had encounters. I said, show me a sign if this is this. And these things happened. Having said that, Nigeria joined OIC. Ebituki were lost as second man to Babangida because he made a statement that Nigeria is a secular state and we shouldn't have anything to do with OIC. In 1986, when Babangida put in Nigeria as a member of the OIC. Then it was Organization of Islamic Countries. Today it is Organization for Islamic Cooperation. So that is one. What about the OPEC? The oil cartel, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, which Nigeria is a member. It has 14 members. Venezuela used to be a member, but it left. So today it has 14 members, and Nigeria always has the Secretary General. If you remember one man called Rewan Lukman, I always talk about when I was a kid. Every time I pick up the newspaper, I'll be reading. At the time, I had to ask my dad, why is this man always the petroleum minister? There was a time I went to Vienna. I saw his son because he lives in Vienna before he died. This man, every time, he's a Fulani guy, was Nigeria's petroleum minister. He was the OPEC Secretary General. And you can imagine. Now, lest I forget, you remember Kachiku Ibe? Kachiku Ibe, the Minister of State for Petroleum. Because Buhari is the Minister of Petroleum now. They like oil. They are gluttons for oil. They just want oil money. And tomorrow they will be shouting anti-corruption. They are not corrupt. Why are you petroleum minister? Why can't you appoint somebody as petroleum minister? You say you don't like money. You are not greedy. You are in for change. Under you as petroleum minister, in those days, 2.8 billion naira got lost and nobody talked about it up to today. They appointed Kachiku as Secretary General of OPEC. How long did he last? How long did Kachiku Ibe, Dr. Emmanuel Kachiku Ibe, how long did he last? They removed him and put their brother, a Fulani guy, back in. They removed him. They just used him and had a soft landing and removed him and put Bakindo. Bakindo is there. Kachuku is now there. Boy, who hears about him? He's just now running errands, Because as long as you say you cannot stand for the truth, as long as you say you mortgage the interests of the people, as long as you are a greedy person, you are very selfish, you just want the progress of you and your family, then at long run, you will still see that all that glitters aren't gold. So OPEC, they are always in charge of OPEC because majority of members of OPEC are Muslim countries. The de facto leader there is Saudi Arabia. That's why they always, and these are Sunnis, Sunni Muslims. That is why they always prop up Nigeria. That's why they always want their people to be in charge. Many of you, if you remember what happened during the Civil War, we had the Egyptian pilot and Islamic Muslim pilots fighting for Nigeria, bombing marketplaces, bombing hospitals in the Biafran territories. They wanted to wipe out Biafrans. They used their Arab ogas to fight against Biafra. And that's what happened. Look at today, the OPEC. Bakindo is in charge again. Ibe Kachuku was there. I mean, was it for 24 hours or 2 days or 3 days? I've forgotten. They removed him and put Bakindo. So that is to say, that is to tell you the kind of people we are dealing with. So having said that, I talked about the Sharia courts of appeal in Federal Capital Territory, the Sharia Court of Appeal. And in this Sharia court is in the constitution. With Nigerian money, it's being funded with oil money. I talked yesterday about the Hizbah police. Hizbah police in the north. The police that they are policing Sharia offenders against Sharia law. Nigeria had even execution. There were cases about on people. There were a woman that was people are their hands are chopped off. They found themselves. I told you about the Hausa woman who married Kano, Katsina. You say, this is a Muslim area. Suffering for a very long time. It's fun because if they have a chance, they will want to. The Wazirians there are lords. They don't have any court of appeal in the FCT, Abuja, and this is a capital. Sharia Court of Appeal is recognized in the constitution, and it's part of the unified court system in Nigeria. You can imagine, it's part of the unified court system in Nigeria. And on top of it, too, we have they go as far as reviewing cases that involve Sharia law and even interpreting. Can you imagine? They're interpreting other laws, customary laws. That doesn't even affect them. Now brought about Boko Haram. You know how Boko Haram started when Mohammed. That preaches in even the before McAfee was recognized was governor. Mohammed Yusuf. When Mohammed Yusuf was just caught, before you know it, they just executed him so that he will start pointing fingers. Even at that time, a commissioner was even executed too. They had to rush to execute him so that he wouldn't reveal other top Nigerians that are involved, including that former governor. All of them had a hand in Boko Haram. I said it before. Boko Haram was instituted primarily as a political group to take power. Even at the height of Jonathan's campaign against Boko Haram, Buhari made a statement. Not our youth. So you can imagine if they have gained power. During the Jonathan time, Boko Haram had access to power. At a time, the president of a country had to say that Boko Haram sympathizers are in his cabinet. Jonathan said it. Former president of Nigeria, Goodluck Jonathan, said it at a time that Boko Haram members are in his cabinet. Are we not aware that Boko Haram even bombed Jaji? Boko Haram bombed. How did they have access to military barracks? At the time, Boko Haram controlled big swath of land. At the time, Boko Haram controlled big swath of land. And before your came, he wanted to distance from Boko Haram, forgetting that he had made statements. He had made statements on occasions that said, Jonathan, you and your people are killing northern youths. Who are the core supporters of Buhari today? Who are the core supporters of Buhari in the core north? They are Boko Haram sympathizers. Many of them supported Boko Haram. I was in the north when I did my youth service in the north. Sorry. When I did my youth service in the north, it was when I found out. You will imagine, is this place Nigeria? The money. After sharing the money, they will just disappear. Again. You will see them, they just take share. That was when I knew that this welfare system that is in the West is even in Nigeria, but many Nigerians doesn't know. It is in the North. They share money among themselves, because they have nothing to do. Travel in the long length and breadth of North, you see. That was why they were against Jonathan. Even Jonathan tried to educate them, build educations for the Talakawas, for those that were not, that the emirs and the Fulani doesn't want to be educated. Jonathan built schools. He built more federal universities there. Even tried to educate nomadic Fulanis, those who are rearing cattle, who heads people. What their people have denied them, because they don't want them to be educated. When they're educated, they will begin to rise up. They will see that this is wrong, this is evil, what you are doing is not nice. That is why, you know, when we say they say Igbos are not united, because we don't worship in the Connaught. You see somebody build a military general, build a gigantic building, and build a mosque inside the building. Everyone will just come and they will pray, go to the mosque and pray, come out and eat and go. The person in charge will not even educate them, just be giving them food, build a mosque, whereas his own children are abroad schooling. So all these things give rise to Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism. And this is a Republic of Biafra will be a buffet. Anathema to our ear. A Republic of crush fundamentalism. Fundamentalism and fundamentalists, you breed terror. Non-Muslims. If that guy is given chance, a lot of things will happen. He has said it many times. I said, go to that page and check it. When Jonathan was in power and the army was coming against Boko Haram seriously, he made statements against that. I was harassed. I said, look at this man. I thought this man was a former Nigeria president, but anyway, Nigeria is the only place a blind man can rise and become president and want to lead those who have two eyes. So the world today has opened their eyes. We thank God that terrorism is an international trouble, and the is to checkmate in that part of Africa, because we will do that. We will do that effectively well, because we want to be global players. We want to contribute meaningfully to the development of Africa and the world at large. So Buhari and his brothers, who are terrorists and fundamentalists, they are ask Buhari. If you talk about they know the Boko Haram guys, they know them now. So they were ruffled. They were ruffled at the genuine debate people are holding on the progress of Nigeria. He was saying if Nigeria does this, he's going to move to Cameroon, that some of his subjects are in Cameroon. Because we know, during the conquest of the Hausas, before the British came to colonize, part of Niger, Chad, and Cameroon, you know, they formed parts of this the Sokoto Caliphate. So you see, that's why, you know, there's something they have always done. Go to the Connaught, you see that there's no genuine border. There's no genuine border. And we've talked about that during Jonathan era. He tried to set up those borders very well, because that's where, you know, they interact. The Fulanis and Hausas in those countries interact with their kit and kill, because they have subdued the Hausas for centuries. That you see that most Hausas are now Muslims, and that's why you see them Hausa, sorry, Hausa Fulani as a tribe. It is not. The Fulani is different. Hausa is different. It's only in Nigeria that you call two people one. They are not. I have many Fulanis who are friends, who are my friends in this part of the world. They don't know anything Hausa. They don't even speak Hausa. They speak Fufude or Fula. So this is what a Republic of Biafra is going to give to the world. And in my Imagine campaigns, and this is where I'm going to inform the international community that this is what the number one thing we are going to offer the international community. Because the Republic of Biafra will be a buffer zone for, you know, for progress, peace, and regional stability. Because we will not tolerate fundamentalism and terrorism. At the moment, the people at the helm of affairs in Nigeria, most of them are terrorists. It's just that because they have power, this is exactly what's happening in Palestine, whereby Hamas is in charge. Hamas is. But because it's the case of Nigeria, they are now using Nigeria where country, you know, they're using the umbrella of Nigeria to cause havoc, to do the unthinkable, to do many things. That's why, you know, they keep planting charlatans among us too. They keep empowering subservient people to come and lead those who doesn't want them. That's why you can see Rochas Okorocha in Imo State talking rubbish, doing nonsense, shooting his people because he wants his masters to be happy with him. The other day he went to the corner and they turbaned him, and they wrapped all those things they used to wrap in their heads, you know. They turbaned him. His chief of staff has followed him to go and wrap that. You know, the thing having that when they are turbaned, they are now rulers in Nigeria. The young man think Rochas want to plant his in-law as the governor of Imo State, and that one had to rush to go and get a title from North, and they turbaned him, put him on a camel or a horse, and, you know, lead him, and, you know, slave mentality. Ndara. So this is what Biafra is going to do. This is what we are giving the international community. Biafra is going to be a buffer against Islamic fundamentalism. If we are going to check, we are going to, in fact, eradicate it. That is for sure. In that region, we will deal with them. They know. We are the only people in Nigeria that can effectively deal with them. And they know that. That's why they are panicking. That's why they are shitting in their pants. But we need to inform, the world needs to understand this. And that's why you have to spread this message. We want international peace. We want sanctity of life. We want value for human existence. We want to restore the dignity of man. We can't tolerate people strapping bombs in their belly, going into the marketplace and killing old women who are there to look for means of livelihood. We can't tolerate people who will send their children to United States and United Kingdom to seek for further studies, whereas they indoctrinate other people's children in order to get what they want. We can't stop not educating other people's children, but you are educating your own children. Everybody, every kid should be entitled to education, because education is a tool against poverty, is a tool against ignorance. And this is what a Republic of Biafra is going to do. We're going to achieve it. It's not a big deal, because I have assessed the situation. I've done research on that. We just need to sit down in Nigeria and decide on the way forward for the country. And this is why things are taken stage by stage. My liberation gospel will certainly metamorphose to something as I get directions from God. But the first thing is, we need to begin to understand, spread this message. We need to develop that confidence and know that there's injustice. We must speak out in the face of injustice. Because when you don't speak out in the face of injustice, you will be perpetually on your knees. And a Republic of Biafra will guarantee freedom. And it's going to be a buffer against Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism. So you can imagine Boko Haram. How did Boko Haram start? They started it. And look at today. Look at what is happening. Boko Haram has maimed, has killed. The way it kills, we've seen now. We've seen a lot online. Some of us have even seen. We've had personal encounters. In 2014 alone, 6,500 people, you can imagine, more than 6. It's enshrined in the Constitution, and I even have a Sharia Court of Appeal for your federal capital territory, Abuja. And we're talking about Boko Haram is a Sunni movement. It's a Sunni Islamic movement that believes in Wahhabi Islam. And Buhari, this is his belief, this is his sect. So this is why, they know everything. They know how it started. They used it to get into power. They don't want to be truthful about it. So this is why, things, if we keep quiet, it's already happening. So you see the way they are kidnapping girls. The other time, a girl was just kidnapped and taken to Kano. The emir of Kano was aware of it. What did he do? He didn't do anything. Parents, imagine, they will just come to your place and take your daughter, kidnap your daughter, and rape your daughter, and pregnant her, and nothing is done about it. The system doesn't do anything. Police doesn't arrest. They are in charge of the police. The Inspector General of Police is. They've peopled. You see, Commissioner of Police. Check the list of commissioners of police. Majority of Nigeria commissioners of police are their people. It's been their game. That's why Buhari made a statement that he's appointing those he trusts, and he has circled himself. That's why he went to London and spent 100 and something days, and nothing happened. Nigeria, they didn't even let the here and there doing the lesser things, where he won't clash with the cabals. Islamic fundamentalists and terrorists are in power in Nigeria. If a governor can marry a 30, I don't know, many of you do know, what's the legal age of marriage in Nigeria? I don't want to say it, it's laughable. What's the legal age of marriage in Nigeria? Go yourself and search for it. How old are the girls that they marry? And they have succeeded in impoverishing Nigerians. Now you see our girls, because of poverty, they rush to Abuja, and we are them, and they'll be coming back with this pregnancy. Is this person okay? But you raped during the Civil War, and after the war, they even came away. I have aunties who they had to kidnap, came back, few didn't come back. Raped, they were forced to bear children for these people. These people are very mean. This is what they did to Hausas. When they killed the house leaders, the Habe rulers, they subjugated their blood in Hausa families. That is why today you see Hausas have lost their culture. They've lost almost everything. They have a foreign religion. They cannot do anything again. And this is their plan. We have been resisting this in different strategies. Blabbing rubbish. This is what Biafra is going to give to our people and the world. It is going to be a buffer against Islamic fundamentalism and terrorism, because we are living. Imagine you can just go out and you don't even know if you're going to. It is not what we want. Then forget about what the fundamental. Buhari is a fundamentalist. Look at the people he's appointing. They have a grand plan. They have a grand plan. We must open up our eyes. But they even see what they are doing to their. Now that they power, see what it's happening. They want to turn the country to fiefdoms, to however they like. People are dying on daily basis. They are sending domestic terrorists, the headsman. Oka, they are rearing cattle along the road on major streets. They've taken over Abuja, which you say is your capital. In Abuja, Men of Maitama and Wuse, you see cattle rearers running the street. Nothing happens to them. They have AK-47 rifles. And you yourself, if your people see you with pistol or AK-47, they will just summarily kill you. Unleash jungle justice on you that you're a criminal. But the herdsman, the Fulani cattle rearer, has AK-47 before you, and is rearing his cattle on the streets of Oka or Owerri or Abakaliki or even Enugu, and nothing happens. But if you see someone with AK-47, tell me what you kill the person. There will be jungle justice on your person. You see your own brother with AK-47. Automatically, you will kill the person. But the Fulanis are rearing cattle. They have pistols. They have AK-47. What happens to them? They go in front, they move across police stations, command centers, commissioner of police, even in the full glare of law enforcement agents. Nothing happens. Because they're the brothers. Because they have a grand plan. I've said it. These people are everywhere getting information. You are employing some of them as your kid man. You think you have arrived, you're a big person. But they're getting veritable, that's cogent information about you and your household. So this is what's happening in Nigeria. A Republic of Biafra will be buffer against Islamic fundamentalism, terrorism, and expansion, because they want to expand, nothing more. They are devising strategies. We are checkmating them, but they are devising strategies. They are now using a strategy of rape, luring women, because there's poverty in the land. Guys don't get work. You know when you have money now, a beautiful girl will look at you. Our guests are now looking at the money. They prefer to go to Abuja and meet a senator from Zamfara State or a House of Rep guy from Kano. That person get dinner, get all the way they told me for that person because of cash, because of money. She's ready to get pregnant for that Alhaji. You see the way they did, how their strategy against the houses. This subdued the houses. Made sure, like I've said it, like all these Almajiris you see are houses. They make sure they are very poor. So Hausa gears now look up to them, you know, to get cash, to feed their family, to get favor, to even get land. Turning Hausa girls against their men. Is this not terrorism? This is what happens. This is what is happening. We have, that is why they don't like us. They don't like us because they've tried every means to subdue us. They cannot. They were almost annihilated our people during the Biafran war. They've seen again that we've risen. They're looking for chance, but they will not get that chance again. They think, look, if there's war now, they're going to wipe us. But unfortunately, this fight is not going to be done by us. So this is what we are passing through. They are using every means to terrorize us. The one to Islam now. You see, when you speak about ills, despite the fact they will go against you. Islamic terrorism and fundamentalism in the global terrain, where Biafra is going to contribute uh, towards global peace. We are going to make sure that our region, there's stability, there is peace, because there's no peace in Nigeria. You cannot go to Northeast freely. Even bomb can explode anywhere in Lagos or in Abuja. Anything can happen in Nigeria today. And this is where the Republic of Biafra will achieve immensely, because that is not our culture. It is anathema to us. How can we cannot kill Islam? Why should we? Before we kill, there will be a reason for that. It is not just go and put straps of bomb on your belly and blow yourself off. Whether somebody who sent you has his own children cooling off somewhere and reading to lead your generation. It shall never be our portion. Thank you for listening to me today. My name is Okachukwu Oko. Spread this message